If I understand correctly, you discover End of the Week in the late 2000s, whenever that guy
Mm-hmm.
won the New York Championship thing.
Mm-hmm.
And do you go to New York to like do it, or is it out in UK at this point?
Nah, we got a chapter popping off over here. At the time, it was Snuff was doing it,
And when does that
and
start?
Snuff started it in 2006.
Okay.
2006, he started it. I believe 2008 is when I first entered. Enjoyed it, thought it was fantastic.
Okay.
And then I slept on it for quite a while. So I was doing all other stuff. And then 2013, I want to say it's 2013, the world final was in the UK that
Mm.
year. And I thought, you know what, I'm going for it. So I went for it and I lost to Stig of the Dump in the UK finals. Yeah. I'll never forget that because it was such a sick night and I lost by just a few points. And I felt deflated, but at the same time, the world final was in the UK that year, So it didn't feel like I lost so much because there wasn't like the trip out, if you know what I mean. Yeah.
Mm. Because losing when
So
is the trip. Like, I mean, I guess winning when you're in the host city is not going to be the same experience as winning with the trip.
exactly. So I don't get me wrong, I was gutted to lose because ain't nobody want to lose. But at the same time, the following year, it was set to be held in Uganda. And I was like, rah, I came pretty much second last year. I'm sure I could do it this year. Yeah. Like I literally had that bug. I can do this. So I entered and the first heat was in Adidas Street Fest, like which is like a just a street festival type thing. And I was put against like a sick lineup of MCs, but this is Adidas Street Fest. Yeah. So when I've come out, I'm watching MCs go and realizing you have to censor yourself. Yeah. And not a lot of MCs know how to censor themselves
This is
and
facts.
become family friendly. But because I'm an MC, that is what I did. I just turned it into a party. Yeah. Literally just had absolute party fun. Ended up winning that. Amazing, yeah. Felt fantastic. Yeah. I felt fantastic winning that competition. Then I had a heat with a guy called Apex Zero, who is currently like my right hand man, all things end of the week England, and a guy called what's his name Marv Radio. Marv Radio is the most fantastic human beatbox machine that does sound healing and all of these kind of things. So I go through this really intimidating heat with them two. One is like a super poet, and the other one is a beatbox machine, but both can rap incredibly well. I managed to win that. Fantastic. On to the final. The final is me, Consensus, who's like the most technical human I know rapping. He raps about like the Hydron Colin. I can't even say the stuff in Switzerland. Hydron Collider? Is that what it is? Yeah. He raps about that. I get sponsored by them to do it. He's that kind of technical rapper.
Mm.
And then the other one was like this MC champion, jazz blowing, saxophonist, like amazing human being, Soweto Kinch. So I'm stuck in this final, but my mind's saying, I need to go Uganda. That's the only thing I thought about that whole competition. I need to go to Uganda. And I ended up going there, delivering. And when they told me I was going to Uganda, I lost my mind. I lost my shit. I won't lie. Yeah, that was proper happy fan moment for me because the achievement, more than anything, to get to go to Africa alone. was fantastic. Just the thought of that for me. I'm going to Africa. Everybody talks about it, you know? So I lost my mind. And in hindsight, I won the year that I really wanted to win because I wanted to go to Africa. Yeah. And there's something in that because I believe a lot of the time, the winner of end of the week, it was written, you know? Like when Cynical won end of the week, it was written. That guy came out there at the time when I think the baby was just about to come. He had never left Montreal before in his life. Yeah, all of these things. You come down to Switzerland and you bury the whole 5 rounds freestyling. Yeah, I'll never forget it
Yeah, but
because I was blown away.
he's incredibly. He's got an energy that's big. Like I don't know how else to describe it. Like he came through a little park thing I did last year, and like yo, like he's one of those guys where you feel like you have to step up after hearing him rap because you realize that this guy is rapping at a level that you can be at, but you are maybe not that in that moment, and you need to step your shit up
Mm-hmm.
because he does it. When they say effortless, that is effortless. Not a lot of people are that
Exactly.
effortless.
And he made it look like that when we got there. But again, he won and it felt like it was written.
Mm.
So fast forward to when I'm in Uganda now, I'm out there, I'm loving it. The experience is like something you couldn't imagine because they kept it very ram-packed, the itinerary, you know? You woke up, you went to the National Theatre, you rehearsed with the locals, then you went to the studio, you went to that TV station. It was really much like that out
Mm.
there, and I had to big them up for it because I didn't know what to expect. But they put in work, hella work, and in it you get to see everything. You know, we're about everywhere, just dotting, dotting, dotting. The experience was amazing, but the little things blow your mind. Like for me, was the birds. The birds blew my mind. Why is the bird so big? That's the first thought that comes to mind, you know? You look up, there's a bird in the sky, it's blasted huge. It makes this noise like it's laughing. And then just randomly shits on people. Yeah. It's called the Laughing Marabou. I'll never forget it. And I thought that was amazing. So to win that year felt more like it did more for my soul that year because that year made me feel like, okay, I'm never gonna experience anything like this again. This is a culture shock. And that is like when I go away, that's what I want most. You know, I love Montreal, but Montreal is not far off from London. It's pretty much the same vibe. You know, like trust me, when you come out here, you're like, it's the same
Yeah.
thing.
I mean,
You
I've
know,
seen your TV. I'm like, yeah, no,
yeah,
yeah.
it's the same thing. There's hardly much differences
No,
in a
but
Montreal
I hear what you're
to a
saying
London.
because I got to go to Israel and Pakistan in the span of 8 months. I
Mm.
went to Israel and Pakistan, and so like, yeah, no, that's culture shock. I feel like
Yeah,
I do. You guys speak English. I'll understand you. I literally was in a
exactly.
moment where I had to get. I was in a call center and I was the trainer. At one point,
Uh-huh.
I had to get one of my agents to drive me to a restaurant to help me get food because, like, bro, I didn't know how to order anything and I couldn't do hotel food no more.
Uh-huh.
That's
Uh-huh.
culture shock, you know? Like, you look at the
Yeah,
menu,
for
you're
sure.
like, I don't know what any of this means. Okay.
Hmm. And that is what I got from Africa. Extreme culture shock, you know? So doing it that year, like I said, some things it was written. That year, Sledgley was the champion, coming by way of South Africa, who had to go through the craziest rigmarole just to be there, turns up 4 hours before the show and ends up winning just telling his story. Yeah. It was written. No one else could have took that moment from him
Mm.
because it was written in that moment, and like that made me lose my heart. Like fully fall in love with this whole thing. You know, if it weren't for them moments there, that's defining moments to me. So it made my music even more fun to make because now I get to make it with my brothers out in Prague, you know? And I got Czech people on my music. It's crazy. To me, that is insane. You know, I got music with Ugandans, you know, high up in their thing. That whole mind frame to me wasn't even apparent at the time because at the time I'm a London boy and we've got our sound over here, but there's like a whole lost era of hip hop that one day me and Apex specifically wants to do this project, but it's called the Lost Generation of Hip Hop in the UK, and we had legends, man. Rhyme Asylum, um, Caxton Press, Shame the Devil, Morris Delta Seven, like legends. But it's like they just disappeared in a certain radar.
Mm.
And right after them comes the emergence of these Dizzy Rascals and so forth that take away completely from the sound that was UK hip hop at the time.
That's an interesting thing. I bet that's paralleled in a lot of places.
Yeah, I can imagine. It's the way things evolve, isn't it?
Yeah.
Music is meant to evolve.
Or just like what happens when the young people come through and just on like, yo, imagine. So I talked to like 20-year-olds and shit, and I had this crazy epiphany. Both me and the 20-year-olds started in 2012, only they were like super young. And like I've talked to like people who by the time they were 17 had recorded, mixed, and mastered 150 songs because they
By the
can't.
time it was 17,
Because they
7-0.
no 17.
Okay, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because they just have it all. Like they just grew up with it. Like they could just do it. They just had the shitty webcam with the shitty microphone, and so they just made song after song, and they all had like whatever version of whatever because it's the 2010s already, and they all grew up with
Mm-hmm.
YouTube. So their first instinct is to go to YouTube, and it's like that changed a lot. These people, like a lot of the older heads will like judge some of the younger people, but like wildly, these young people were like listening to Tupac in 2012 and just made choices. They're like, I don't know if
Uh-huh.
I want, but they all listen to it. Everybody I've talked to that's young has listened to pretty much everything I've ever listened to when I was young. They just ended up liking Lil
But
Wayne more, and they just like Drake more.
I think that's just but that's down to like age of information, isn't it? You know, like in our days, information weren't processed like that, or even as feasible. You
It blows
know,
my
the fact
mind.
that everyone has a studio in their room, that used to be a thing, you know? It used to be a thing. And there was a guy that had a job, and you went to the studio and he did his job, and
No,
his
like
job
it's
got
wild. Like
killed.
it's even to the point where some of the studios are like, bro, this email thing with COVID? Are you kidding me? None of y'all are coming over again. And then like there are
Yeah,
people who
this is
like
it.
shut down and they're like, yeah, just do the digital transfer shit, and it works. Like if you have a proper sound at home, you can just email your files to whatever engineer, and that's what the kids are about to grow up in. Imagine that the post Imagine growing up in a world like these kids don't have to perform live because they've been rapping for 2 years in like lockdown. So there's a bunch of Montreal rappers. Where were they gonna perform? But they've been releasing music for 2 years,
Hmm.
and performing live isn't even necessarily a focus to a lot of these new artists because, and it's like,
Well, it is now, but it's now a IG live
yeah,
or a virtual show, you know, because this is the age we're going into, and I don't expect no different. This is called Ready Player One, and if you weren't ready, then you're about to get ready. You get me?
ah,
But this is what it is,
I
you
fucking
know.
as
I believe in it.
as somebody literally told me that on the Roblox game that the kids be on,
Uh-huh.
there is record labels and they do like all out shit for like Roblox money. Like man's like won a thing for Roblox, and I googled it. It was like $40. Like I just want, but yo, like wildly, because they're teenagers and shit. They got time. Like what else are you gonna
And not
do?
just that, no, not just that. This is where the world is heading. This is
Yeah,
the
no
world is
facts.
heading.
I
You know,
mean, we're
like,
doing it. We're doing it right now.
yeah, and do you know what? It's great and it isn't, isn't it? It's got its
Absolutely.
pluses and bonuses. Like, obviously. as artists, you're kind of in the shit now. Yeah. Before, if you was a big artist, you was a big artist, and there's no other big artist. You was just like the big artist. If me growing up, we had Top of the Pops, and whatever was top 10 was top 10. Yeah, that was fact. And if you was number one, you was number one. Now you're number. It's like boxing. You know, you could be a heavyweight champion, but there's guaranteed at least another 20 other heavyweight champions in all types of belts, divisions, and weights, and so forth, like that. So it takes away from things now. You don't get. You have to, but at the same time, you can pick to a T what you want to hear,
So
and I quite like that.
personally, I'm super into this more in a selfish tip. Like I don't like when I first rapped at end of the week, I was like, oh, say word. I don't know if I know how to rap New York. Like I don't know how to do that. And I could see certain people being like, this ain't it. And I respect that because it's really like I get it. I really get where they're coming from. But as like I guess a weirdo in music who likes to kind of do out there shit, bro, it's the best. All the gatekeepers got knocked down. A lot of shit got fucking blown away. I literally started just not mixing shit good. I wanted to see what would happen. What happens if you don't try? And so I'm doing it now. And you know what happened? I do a very bullshit mix job. Nobody gave a fuck. I mean, like, nobody gave a fuck. I mean, like, DJs and engineers gave a fuck. Nobody else gave a fuck. And I'm like...
Yeah, but half of the other consumers are listening to it off a phone now.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I grew up in a day where you took a lot of pride in your preamp, your amp. You had the full setup. It was like,
yeah.
Your speakers. Like, for me, I grew up with the H&H on the speakers. So, speakers were soundboy issue. And, you know, you really had a love for the tweeters and what your bass did. Now you listen to that shit on your phone. So
and with Spotify,
after the
double it.
Exactly. You know, so either which way, the quality of things is always going to drop. You know, that is a plus bonus. But one thing you said, which I find interesting, is you said, "Could I rap New York enough?" When it came to end of the week, yeah.
That was just my thought. But, like I'm gonna say,
yeah, I feel you.
There's
at least one competition.
I wasn't even in the competition. It was the open mic. It was just the regular, just watching the. Because I watched some people were like, and other people were giving me the New York face, and I'd never seen the New York face before.
Flacko said it well. He said he was raised on yellow rice, I believe it was. Yeah. And one day someone gave him white rice and he was like, this shit changed my whole perspective. Yeah. Because what you're raised on ain't always what you like. You know? There is something you will find in it that comes through that is not from the typical mold and blows your mind. And that's what End of the Week showed me. The minute I went to a world final, I was seeing 7 different languages rapping at once. I'm like, this is a whole new stratosphere. Because for me, I'm from London and we don't really tap into much other language music.
Right.
You know, we love French hip-hop because French hip-hop always made a solid stance in their
statement. Do y'all ever listen to Quebec hip-hop or is it just like France?
Not France.
Y'all should fuck with some Quebec, you know? We got some whole shit happening here.
The thing is, the algorithm ain't reached.
Yeah, no, we are. Oh my god, the amount of anti-algorithm motherfuckers I know. I'm be like trying to like get everybody on board. Like, yo, let's work together, make a Montreal algorithm so people care. We got French, we got English, we got bilingual, we got. Honestly, my city's lit. Like we slept on, but algorithmically, it's what it is.
If I didn't know about coming out there and meeting urban monk, yeah.
Monkey.
Or Urban Logic, sorry.
You know Logix? No. Okay, yeah, Logix.
Man, listen, that story right there is magical. But yeah, meeting him, I wouldn't know that if I didn't immerse myself in the scene.
Right.
I wouldn't know about Prez One, you know? Things like these. I wouldn't know about these guys unless I knew. Excuse me. I wouldn't know that if it worked for End of the Week, first of all.
Facts.
Yeah? Because that brought me out there. And I got to experience it firsthand. You know, brother Monkey took me in. He housed me for the whole weekend and something. Showed me Montreal from a different
Yo,
perspective
his
because we
his
all know how
perspective's
Monkey
gonna
is
be like
already.
out there. Like that's not the Montreal I know.
Again, yeah, but then I have the balance because I had man like Osti one. That's a balance to me, yeah. You know, there's and I'm gonna knock Billy. If it ain't for brother Billy, yeah, that's a whole nother perspective. Custard all day, yeah. Like that that guy right there is a brother. You know what I mean? Like brother. So when you little things like that, I would have never have got that experience if it weren't for this experience.
Yeah.
And if in that it allows me to know someone to tap into, you know, you only need one, you know,
Well, no, that's the thing.
literally.
I realized that with the end of the week. I'm like, hold up. I'm about to interview this Mas Law guy. Now what happens when I'm in London? I'm gonna have to hit up Mas Law. See what's up.
And that's what end of the week did for me. I went to Prague. Like went my end of the week family out here, well looked after. Yeah, I went to Amsterdam just to make it even more random, where there isn't a chapter. And I got hooked up with Raheem, who was one of the original guys to bring over End of the Week France. And he's out there judging cannabis. I'm like, wow, this is amazing, you know? Like, end of the week, baby. I'll fly the flag, you know what I mean? So, like, the network it built up was great. And if you have your own established network, it works well, you
Mm.
know? So, like, here I've done enough for people to know who I am. You know, I'm not a gigs. I'm not your skeptics. I'm not on that level at all. Yeah, because that man there is the new age of where we're meant to be.
Mm.
Yeah. I'm just the era before. I'm the lost generation of hip hop before these kids came through and did what we was meant to do. And that's how I see it.
So, I mean, that's an interesting way to put it. Because, I mean, I'm kind of meeting those people all over Montreal that put in that work beforehand and seeing where a lot of them are at or how many of them disappeared. Or, as an example, I just in day job land ended up working with a guy who's like a legend in Montreal. But, like, he will not even come on my show right now because it could, like, affect his cheddar in terms of what he does for a living now. And just the way that people's lives can like fade out and things change and people evolve, and then all of us are here now, and like honestly this guy deserves way more shine than I might get over the next little bit, but it's just the way life worked out. I'm still here doing it and he's over
Mm-hmm.
there going to Amsterdam with per diems. And I'm like, well,
Mm-hmm.
I would go to Amsterdam with per diems too pretty quick. I'm not gonna lie, that's actually not shit.
But
So
it's dope. That is why, like for me, it propelled my thing a bit more. But the hosting made me a household name
mm,
to a degree. That's what if people was to say a lot of like just normal spectators, if they was to know me, they would know me for hosting. Those that's been to a show will probably say that's the funniest show they've been to. Those that know me for my music generally are people that really like my music, and I appreciate that. You know, I've never tried to generate no numbers and all of these kind of things because I never put that energy in like I was meant to.
mm.
But on an organic level, I've done enough to make me smile. I've seen enough countries. I've seen enough countries. I've done enough stage shows. Don't get me wrong. There's always more. There's always more. But you know, like it depends on the direction you want to take in things. And like being close to 40 now, there's no age on music, but like I had a show the other day, and it made me know I'm getting old. You know, those tongue twisters I enjoyed doing before make my back lock. So now I want to be more in the business side of things, the production side. You know,
So you're like, I guess that's a real thing.